Hi, you guys. It's Yaz. And today I want to talk about how do you resolve conflict with a narcissist? Well, in general, you can't resolve conflict with a narcissist because a narcissist will never acknowledge the truth. The narcissist wants complete control over everything. So this is why we say it's literally impossible to resolve conflict with a narcissist. But see, not everybody can just walk away from a narcissist. You know, some people have kids with them. Some people are financially dependent on them. So how do you deal with a narcissist that is unbending? First of all, you've got to realize what are your limits? What are your limits? What will you accept and what will you not accept? Okay? We know that narcissism is on a spectrum. So, no two narcissists are the same. They have different degrees of narcissism. Some narcissists, will be so controlling, tell you who you can talk to, where you can go, how to dress or something like that. And some narcissists are only controlling with certain issues and, may just have a couple of narcissistic traits. So you really got to analyze the narcissist you're with and just see how narcissistic they are and if it's, manageable to be with these people. How toxic a person are you? And if you find that this person is extremely toxic, then you need a plan to get out. Like a lot of people say, well, I know the person I'm with is toxic, but I don't know what to do. I can't just walk out. So you need to find a way to kind of coexist with the narcissist in a way. All right. The thing with a narcissist is this. Narcissists, they smell weakness. When you're dealing with a narcissist, they try to intimidate you. They try to instill fear in you. They do it in two different ways. One is by the silent treatment, and covert narcissists do this all the time. They try to punish you with the silent treatment. And the other way is to rage out on you, get in your face. In some cases, people are afraid because they may be dealing with a malignant narcissist that could get physical with them. So you've got to know you've got to study your target and know how to deal with somebody like that. The best way is to not get emotional. Don't start crying. Don't start yelling and screaming. Just let the narcissist talk, okay? Because remember this, no matter what comes out of a narcissist's mouth, it doesn't mean shit because you're dealing with a liar. You're dealing with somebody who doesn't acknowledge the truth. But in some cases, you've got to deal with them. So this is what I have to say to you. When you're dealing with a narcissist, and especially if you're dealing with them in court or something like that, you've got to stay focused. You've got to not get emotional, no matter what that narcissist comes at you. And they're going to try to attack you personally. They may call you stupid. They may call you fat. They may call you old. They're going to call out things on you to try to trigger you. But you have to stick to the facts. In other words, let's say you're co-parenting with a narcissist and they're just constantly trying to trigger you, attack you. They're angry that the relationship broke up. Maybe they're angry that, it has to deal with child support, or they're not living in the house anymore, or they don't want you to have another life. So they're going to be very biting with it in their comments and try to put you down every which way. I always tell people this. Remember the source. Remember where it's coming from. So, of course, they're going to try to attack you. Of course, they're going to try to shoot down your self-esteem. That's why you can't take anything that narcissist says to heart. You've got to say to yourself, they're angry, they're mad because, they feel rejected because I don't want to be in this relationship anymore. So it makes them feel better to put me down. They'll say things like, oh, you'll never find somebody again. Nobody's going to want you or anything. But understand this. They're just trying to shoot down your self-esteem. So when you're dealing with a narcissist like that, you've got to be like, when somebody is downright insulting, you've got to disengage from them and say, you know what, until you talk to me with respect, there is nothing to talk about here. This is letting that narcissist know that you are not going to, be treated like, crap or anything like that, that they have to come up to your level. Not that you're going to go down to their level and start yelling and screaming and everything like that. You may feel better after yelling and screaming at them, but what you're doing is you're wearing yourself out. And guess what? That narcissist doesn't care. And if anything, you're feeding that narcissist. You're giving them supply because now they know they affected you. They got you upset. And that's exactly what a narcissist wants to do. They want to hurt you and make you upset. They want you angry or they want you crying. That's why you've got to be like a poker face. You've got to be like a stone face. And instead of focusing in on the narcissist, you've got to focus in on the facts and be like, listen, this is what has to be done. And, when they start to gaslight you or they give you resistance or something like that, you've got to take it to the next level, which means sometimes you have to go to court with them or, work it out legally in order to, get your demands met. But if you're dealing with somebody and let's say you're living with them and they are just flat out unreasonable and they're causing you anxiety and they're causing you depression and everything like that, you've got to think about your own mental state and your health, because narcissists will affect your health down the road. You may not see it now, but all that stress that you have inside your body and, all that upset, it causes things like cancer, digestive problems, mental health issues. And you're thinking that there's a problem with you because of course, the narcissist always, deflects and flips the blame on you. And you're going to be, number one, feeling really low about yourself. And you're going to think that you're always doing something wrong because this person is always projecting onto you who they are. You've got to have enough self-confidence and self-awareness to say to yourself, I'm dealing with a crazy person here. Not that they're crazy, but they don't speak the truth. They won't acknowledge the truth. They manipulate, they gaslight, all to benefit themselves. They manipulate to win. Narcissists want to win. So in order for them to win, they've got to be on top, and it's got to be somebody's fault, and it's always going to be your fault, especially if you're living with them, or it's going to be somebody else's fault they're going to blame. But they'll never, ever take that accountability. So the thing is, you guys, you've got to see just how toxic the relationship is. If you have to compromise yourself in order to live with that narcissist, you've got to reevaluate your circumstances and try to find a way to get out. Because like I said, if you just go along for the ride, it's going to eat away at you in time. In time, it's going to eat away at you, and you're going to feel low about yourself. You're going to feel like you're in a black hole and you can't get out because this person has criticized you, judged you. They've played tricks on you. They're manipulators. A lot of them are not in the relationship. They have other things going on. You're thirsty for attention. They're not giving you attention. They try to control you by not giving you attention. And you're still there. And as long as you're putting up with that, that gives the narcissist power. And that also has the narcissist thinking that you're weak. But when you stand up to that narcissist and you say, no, I'm not dealing with this, and you disengage from them, then they know that you have boundaries and you mean what you say. And this is why I tell people all the time, never make yourself codependent on a narcissist. In other words, for their attention, for their affection, for their validation. You've got to be, you validate yourself. You believe in yourself that you know what the facts are, and you got to know your shit, you guys, when it comes to things with dealing with a narcissist. Even in business, whether you're dealing with a boss, a coworker, or you're dealing in the medical field or the legal field, know your facts. Know your fucking facts so that when these narcissistic people come back at you and try to gaslight you or tell you you're wrong or you're crazy, you could say, no, this is the fact. And you got to hold strong. Hold strong. And if they won't acknowledge it, that's when you've got to step back and say, okay, I can see we're not getting anywhere here. Okay, you don't want to acknowledge the truth. We're done talking. But you don't go back and forth, all right? Once you see that that narcissist is not validating what you're saying or acknowledging what you're saying, and you are speaking the truth, ding, ding, you are dealing with toxic, and that is a no-win situation. The only way you win with toxic is to get away from it, okay? Get away from it and not deal with it, or hold strong until they finally break down and will acknowledge the truth, okay? Some of them will break down if they have to because they need you, and some of them won't. So, but the thing is, when that narcissist runs cold on you or gives you the silent treatment or anything like that, or they don't want to give you affection, that's okay. You don't want to give me affection, fine. You want to sit there and be in silence for the next day, 2 days, 3 weeks, you go and do it. But the last thing you want to do is beg a narcissist, okay? When you beg a narcissist or you reach out to a narcissist that is trying to punish you for the silent treatment or for something that you said that they didn't like, you let them stay silent, okay? You don't break down and say, can we talk? Or did I say something? No, you've got to hold strong to what you believe in, and you can't let these people waver you. See, a narcissist, they're relentless. They will try to break you down. They'll break you down in arguing with you. Some of them will argue and like go on, and you're sitting there back and forth, arguing with them, and they're never even listening to a word you say. All they're concerned with is showing you that you're wrong. Or you're dealing with the narcissist that gives you the cold routine and doesn't acknowledge you and, doesn't contact you and goes no contact and everything like that. Let the narcissist do whatever the fuck they want to do. You hold true to yourself and hold true to the facts. That's why you're not going to sit there and focus on what the narcissist is doing. You're going to focus in on, what is the matter at hand, and did the narcissist, are they able to sit down and talk and work it out and acknowledge, meet you halfway? Can they compromise with you? Most narcissists can't compromise. They don't want to compromise. So that's why I tell you, narcissism is on a spectrum, okay? So you've really got to analyze how narcissistic this person is. When you're dealing with a hard-headed narcissist, they're not going to sit down and they're not going to work it out. And some of them won't do it just as a means of control. Just because they know this is what you want. You want to work out a problem. And they'll say something like, not now. I don't want to talk about it. Okay. Or it's going to be, I'll talk to you next week. And the next week says, no, I can't do it or something. They make up excuses. Why? Because some of them are sadistic and they want to hurt you and want to break you down to the point that when you do sit down with them, you're so drained and wiped out because they're energy vampires that suck the life out of you that you say, okay, what do you want? Let's just end this, okay? Let's just end this. And they do that with the silent treatment as well. Some of them will go silent. I knew narcissists that would go silent for months on end, okay? And, try to break you down. You've got to be okay with being on your own. You can't be dependent on that narcissist for anything. You've got to say, okay, if this is how they're going to be, fine. But you know what? When they decide they want to come back, it's going to be on my terms. And I don't know if I'm even going to talk to them at that point. Because if I just automatically give in to the narcissist every time, they're ready to talk, then they feel they could pull this shit anytime, So you have to let them know, you have to let them know that indirectly, if they go silent, they can go silent on their own. And then when they come back, guess what? You're unavailable. This time is not good for me. This is letting that narcissist know, no, you can't pull this shit every time you feel like it and think that you're going to come back and we're going to sit here and work it out. No, it's not going to be on your terms. When you tried numerous times to work it out with the narcissist and they refused, then you know what? Now it's off the negotiating table. Now there's nothing to talk about because you know what? You made it so difficult to try to resolve the conflict that now I have to just disengage and say, you know what? It is what it is. They are toxic And I have to just kind of get away from this. I have to get away from these kind of people because they are impossible. They don't want to unite. Narcissists are dividers. They're not uniters. And you'll see this in narcissistic families. It's usually the covert narcissist that's causing the divide in the family because they're shifty, they're snaky, and they align with other family members to gang up against you, all right? They don't want to unite everybody because to unite everybody gives you strength by building your relationships with the other people. So instead, they try to keep everything separate so that they have the control. They're the only ones talking to these other people. You're not, all right? And it's the same thing in a relationship. When you're dealing with a covert narcissist, their other relations with other people, outsiders, they're going to keep separate from you. They don't want you around their friends and family and being too close to them. They want to keep you as an outsider. They're not a uniter. So it's very, very difficult to resolve conflict with a narcissist, all right? But like I said, not everybody can just walk away. Sometimes you're in a situation where you have children or you're dependent on that narcissist. And the best way to handle that is to be diplomatic, okay? You've got to look at that narcissist. This is strictly business. This is what we have to work out, whether it's financial, whether it's visitation with children, if you're separating from very businesslike. Don't get your emotions in on it. And you have to be unwavering in what you want and your demands, okay? As long as they're reasonable. You have to be reasonable about it, okay? And understand that this narcissist has no empathy. Now, remember, narcissism is on a spectrum. So you have to see just how narcissistic they are, meaning if they're very narcissistic, they have zero empathy, and they're basically a fucking dictator. So forget it, okay? You're going to get nowhere with somebody like that. But if you're dealing with somebody who's narcissistic and at times can be a little empathetic or something, that might be a narcissist that you can kind of, deal with when you have to deal with now and then. But in general, narcissists are just flat out toxic and you want to keep your distance from them. But you have to, you guys, one of the biggest things in order to, handle a narcissist, and especially with conflict, I've had to do it numerous times when I've had to, fight with these doctors in the hospital about my son and the medication. And I can't tell you how narcissistic they were, all right? Or people in the legal profession that I had to deal with, or anything like that, or in business. You've got to know what you're fucking talking about and know your facts, because they will eat you up alive if you don't. This is what I'm telling you. This is why, a lot of people, they're not focused. You've got to be focused when you're dealing with that narcissist and you bring up an issue to them. You've got to know that issue inside out. Inside out, what you're bringing to the table to that narcissist. And you got to hit them at the right time when you bring it up too, all right? It does make a difference when you bring something up to a narcissist at different times. You want to hit them when they're in a good mood, they're having a good day, or something like that, all right? You might be able to, get something out of the narcissist where they'll agree to it because they're having a good day. Never, ever try to resolve conflict with a narcissist when they're having a bad day, because you'll end up having the fight of the year, all right? So timing is really important when you try to resolve conflict with that narcissist. And understand this. Yes, they have their own way of thinking, their own way of doing everything, but so do you. So do you. And you got to think about yourself, okay? I know you want to work it out with that narcissist, and I know you want peace with that narcissist, but every time you keep giving in to that narcissist, they're going to move the goalposts back further, and they're going to feel, number one, that you're weak, number two, that they can get over on you, and that you have low boundaries, and that's going to cause them to really, go off and do whatever they want, because they feel you keep giving in. You can't always give in to the narcissist. You've got to know what your boundaries are that you will accept and what you won't accept, all right? It's like, for instance, let's say the narcissist is going out all night and they feel they don't have to answer you. They don't have to call you or text you or anything like that. If you have strong boundaries, you'll say, you know what? No, You're my partner. We're in an exclusive relationship. I expect a call or a text at some point during the night. If you can't do that, number one, that looks shady and you probably got something to hide. All right. And number two, that person is not respecting you. So, I mean, you've got to hold strong to how you feel. And if that person can't give in, you got to say to yourself, you know what? This person is not respecting me. Does the narcissist respect you? Ask yourself, how are they talking to you? What are their behaviors like? Do they respect their partner? Okay, like in other words, if they're out with somebody and somebody insults their partner, they got your back? Or are they sitting there laughing with the other person about you? All right? Because you want people that are your supporters, that are with you. And narcissists, they're out for themselves. And they want everybody to like them. So the point I'm trying to make in all of this is, in order to resolve conflict with that narcissist, you got to A, know your facts. 2, you got to be diplomatic and businesslike. You got to 3, not get your emotions in on everything, because the person that stays in control is looked at as the person of power. Okay? When people see someone breaking down, yelling, screaming, or crying, they look at that person as either very weak or unstable. So you've got to have that strong mental state and say, you know what? It doesn't matter anything that fucking narcissist says, because they're toxic. What matters is what I got to get done with this narcissist in order to, deal with them. All right. I need to stick to the facts and everything like that. And you give the narcissist one warning when they break your boundaries. You tell them, listen, you ever do that again, you and I will not be talking, or anything like that. And if they break your boundaries the second time, that's when you have to really step back and get out of that relationship, or disengage, or even question whether you should be in a relationship, because that person is not respecting your boundaries. And that is disrespect, okay? You can't be in a loving relationship with somebody who doesn't show you respect, period, dot, end of story, okay? And this is what narcissists do. They don't have any respect for anybody. So, you got to understand something. Narcissists know who they can and can't play with. So you've got to make yourself known that you're the type of person that, you're not going to put up with nonsense or anything like that. So they know already from the onset that, no games here, or any kind of game. That's it. I'm out. I always tell people in the beginning, the minute you see games is the minute you got to say, I got to back off from this, because if they're playing games in the beginning, this is just the tip of the iceberg of things to come. Understand that those toxic behaviors that you see in the beginning, that's 1/10 of what you're going to see if you ever got in deep with that narcissist. And especially if you ever lived with them or married them, it'd be full blown after that, the toxicity. Remember, when you're not living with them, the narcissist is kind of on their best behavior until they know they got you. And then once they know they got you, they're really going to do whatever they want, especially if they feel that you're never going to leave. Okay? So remember what I tell you, all right? The minute you see any toxicity, you get out. You get out, or you don't. If you got to deal with them, you got to know that, I can't trust this person. Okay, I'm dealing with a shady character. I can't trust them. And as far as resolving conflict, sometimes you got to fly the flag and walk away, because you will never resolve conflict with an unbending narcissist that won't ever acknowledge the truth or own it. Okay, they won't take accountability or anything. You have to just step back and say, you know what? They're never going to admit something. Like, let's say, you caught them cheating and they're just sitting there stone-faced lying to you and say, I never cheated on you. I never cheated on you. And they have, and you've shown them the proof and they're still lying. That's when you have to just walk away and do what you got to do for yourself and say, you know what? I don't want to be with somebody like that. I don't want to be with somebody like that. I deserve better. My life is worth something. You guys, I'm going to end off this podcast by telling you this. Time is valuable. Don't waste it with the wrong people, okay? Because you're going to wake up one day and you're going to look back and see all that fighting and arguing and see how this person, was treating you lousy. And you're going to say, why did I ever stay in that relationship as long as I did? Okay? So, get out while you can and save your lives. I hope that helps you. If it did, hit the subscribe button and please share the podcast. Have a great day. If you guys are having a problem in your dating or relationship, or you're dealing with somebody maybe that's narcissistic, you don't know if they're a narcissist, or you're just having problems, you're in a toxic relationship, and you need some clarity on it, go to the link in the podcast description for my website where I offer email and phone coaching. If you have a quick question, just a quick question, and you want to get a video sent back to you answering your question, there's also a link there for Vizio where I will send you a personalized video answering your question. Hi, you guys, it's Yaz, and I want to tell you about my 2 books on Amazon. The first book is Regain Your Power. It's all about power and relationship. Who has the power in the relationship? And it goes into all of that, okay? The other book is Signs He's Not Into You, He's Wasting Your Time, okay? Check it out. It gives you a lot of good clues as to whether you're with somebody who's a real one or somebody who's just going to waste your time. You could read them both with Kindle's free trial membership. So check it out. Link is in the podcast description. Hi, you guys. I just want to let you know that the Game Exposed now has their merchandise available. Check out the link in the bio, and you could go check it out. There's cool hoodies, cool sweatpants, cool hats. So go to the bio for the link. And also, don't forget to follow me on Facebook at The Game EXP 123, and also on Instagram, The Game EXP 123. Okay? And have a great day.